Glamrock Chica has the most tragic story out of all Glamrocks, and this story has a lot of layers. Starting from the way how she is being mistreated by Fazbear Entertainment, to getting the most grisly fate possible, to being overshadowed by other characters, to the way how well hidden most of her characterization is. You can complete the entirety of Security Breach and never know that Chica had anything interesting about her, aside from being very hungry. Such is her superficial simplicity. But what can we see under this facade and how? Probably the most important depiction of her true self occurs in the first 10 minutes of the game, in the intro and right after it. While the intro gives each Glamrock time to shine, Chica benefits the most from it. She is shown as the most lively one, behaving as you wouldn't expect a robot to behave, such as doing stretches or genuinely caring about her friend. In addition, afterwards we see how she plays guitar alone in her room, and it is such a small but interesting detail because she doesn't have to do this. The Pizzaplex is almost closed for the night, she doesn't have any guests around to impress with her skills, nobody watches her. She does it because she enjoys it. The room is also full of empty pizza boxes and other snacks, which foreshadows to us what is her main flaw. And judging by the sheer amount of empty packages, that love for food is far from being under control. This sets up her and other Glamrocks as very advanced AI. They can have their wishes, desires, and emotions that are beyond their main program. Unfortunately, this is the last time where we see the real Chica, and this creates a sparkling contrast for the player with how Chica behaves for the rest of the game. First you get the confirmation that Chica indeed has uncontrollable addiction to food, and Fazbear Entertainment is fully aware of it. Then the player sees this in action, and not only that. It is here where we can start to suspect that something in the Pizzaplex goes horribly wrong, and Chica is the main indicator of that. Bear in mind that at this point in time, the players barely had any information about Glitchtrap. Only minutes ago Chica was enjoying her life, and now she twitches and struggles to hold her posture. None of the other Glamrocks suffer from such symptoms. It is safe to assume that Chica is strong-willed one, and resists hacking the most, so Glitchtrap needs to put out much more pressure. While we stroll through the game, we can find a few messages that show us that Chica's problem with food is a long-standing one, and Fazbear Entertainment doesn't bother to intervene, as they think that it benefits their advertising program. But her addiction now is much more severe than they thought. We can find a broken display case in the bakery, and it was most likely Chica who broke it searching for a snack. As if breaking the display case was not enough, Chica breaks pizza delivery bot for a pizza ordered by Gregory as a distraction. Her hunger is out of hand, and it's gonna become her demise. But there's a few more things to learn about her before that happens. At one point we might see how Chica opens a door with her scream, and later on we find out that Fazbear Entertainment installed her a new voice box, but it was causing other bots to malfunction. Instead of fixing the problem, Fazbear Entertainment prohibited Chica to sing. Just another point of a total negligence on their part. Considering that we just saw how Chica enjoys playing guitar, not being able to sing could have been quite a hard hit. Moving further, searching for a party pass, we sneak into her green room, and here lies a very important detail that I often mention in my other videos. In both Chica's and Freddy's rooms, there is bowling balls on the floor, which they keep as a memento of Bonnie. Knowing how much Freddy misses him, we can guess that Chica feels the same. And this actually expands to us the moment in the intro, where she looks very worried for Freddy's glitching. They are very close to each other, as they, together with Bonnie, were the original trio. So after Bonnie's demise, their care for each other has only grown. Her caring nature also can be seen in the way how she speaks when trying to lure Gregory out.
Your family is looking for you. Don't worry, you're safe with me. Our friendly security staff can help. I am just trying to help.
It appears that this aspect of her Glitchtrap wasn't able to change. but because of how unnatural her movements are, she can become quite eerie. Just to add more to her pile of sufferings, there's a chance that you might hear her cries when she chases you. This is her trying to regain control over herself. But Glitchtrap is unstoppable, so one can only imagine what such lovable animatronic as Chica would feel when being forced to hunt someone. At this point, after summarizing all of this, we can see that Chica has suffered the most out of all Glamrocks, and Gregory hasn't even shot at her yet. It's kinda frustrating how most of the things I talked about are so easy to miss, which can give a false perception that Chica has nothing interesting about her. It is speculated that Chica's obsession with food is an allusion to drug addiction, from which many rockstars suffered from. Or seeing how much she suffered already, there is also a possibility that it's an eating disorder, that could have developed from stress eating and was amplified by Glitchtrap. However, Chica's sufferings are far from over, and it will get only worse from here. We search for a way to decommission her and find out that Chica loses her mind over Monty's mystery mix.
Safety first. 1. Fill the garbage compactor. 2. Prime the compactor engine by pushing the button in the kitchen storage room. Follow the cable. 3. Press the hanging activation button in front of the compactor. Important! Make sure all employees and staff are clear of the compactor before step 3. Parts and Service is concerned that Chica will suffer heavy damage if she ever gets caught in the trash compactor. Always double check the compactor before use. Do not use the compactor to dispose of pizza, pizza-flavored items, or pizza-scented materials, especially Monty's mystery mix. Otherwise, her replacement cost will come out of your paycheck.
We lure Chica into the trash compactor, and after losing her friend, losing her voice, helplessly trying to restore control over her own actions, and being neglected by her creators, she gets the most brutal shattering that Security Breach has. This is the moment that breaks Chica both mentally and physically. Her body is broken so much that she can barely walk, and she has trouble controlling her eyes. Gregory also has stricken off her beak and took her voice box. Now she lost her voice completely, and eating became much more difficult, which will lead us to her state in ruin. Her movements and charges are becoming quite erratic. After all the torture that has befallen upon her, she starts to lose her mind. The last important thing that we can notice is a very strange sort of hideout in the sewers, with pink light, Chica's plush, and a box of pizza. It is still unknown if it was Chica's hideout or one of her fans, but sewers are definitely a strange place for this. So Security Breach ends, and we see that Chica has a lot of stuff about her. But the way how nondescript most of it was presented has made her to be perceived in the eyes of some people as just a hungry killer robot who deserved what she got. Fortunately, as the tales from the Pizzaplex began to come out, we have learned how Glamrocks were changed by the storyteller and how Glitchtrap took over later on. So nowadays we can say for certain that Chica would have never hunted anyone, let alone kill, as if hearing her cries wasn't enough.
Chica's storylines nearly always included food. The chick loved pizza and was very pushy about getting it, but she was, on the whole, one of the more loving characters in the Fazbear Entertainment family. After the storyteller came online though, that changed. Chica began showing aggressive tendencies. Her loving persona was replaced with a snarky one. No longer interested in food, Chica became obsessed with getting attention. She was constantly demanding that Mr. Cupcake show her more deference. Mr. Cupcake, for his part, began acting up as well. He developed the personality of a vicious terrier.
This part is very strange. In the storyteller, the descriptions of Roxy and Monty align with what we see in Security Breach. But that's not the case for Chica. She became snarky and lost interest in food, which clearly doesn't sound like our Chica. In this story she also was yellow and had Mr. Cupcake. This has led to a theory that it's a different Chica, or that the author messed up something when writing this story. But if you will look closer at Chica's model in Security Breach, you can see a little bit of yellow paint inside some of her parts. It is hard to get any sort of conclusion, but knowing that the storyteller and Glitchtrap are two separate programs, it might be that when Glitchtrap met such a strong resistance from Chica, he put much more efforts into hacking her, and that has led to all her visible struggles, while also overriding the behavior that was created by the storyteller. But this is a pure speculation, and most likely it was a miscommunication between different narrators. While Tales from the Pizzaplex doesn't really expand her character, there's one description of a broken Chica in the sewers that I found very interesting, as it sounds like a foreshadowing for what will become of her in Ruin. Details like handless arm, a gaping maw instead of the lower part of her face, and the unblinking eye, all sounds too familiar. This raises a question just how many times history was repeating itself. Seems that Chica has already fell into the trash compactor before, and Fazbear Entertainment did almost nothing to prevent that in the future, aside from forbidding to dispose of pizza. The only book that gave Chica some meaningful screen time is The VIP. The book is set quite some time before the storyteller, so we can have a small glimpse at how Chica was before the things went south. Chica appears at the beginning of The VIP. She asks Devon and Ike if they are lost, and helps them to get through the terminal. Then Ike compliments her bow. Chica thanks him, and with a wink gives the boys a hint that's gonna be useful later in the book. After that she wishes them to have fun, and stomps away. Ultimately Chica behaves as we would expect her to behave. She's kind, joyful, and the way she speaks is similar to how she speaks in Security Breach, just without the murderous part of it. Now the time for Ruin has come, and after Security Breach you would guess that it can't get any worse for poor Chica, but I can assure you that it got much worse. First thing that we can see is that Fazbear Entertainment, to no surprise, has abandoned Broken Chica as they have done before. Since Chica has lost her beak, satisfying her hunger became very hard, and in the time between Security Breach and Ruin, she sustained a lot of damage. And because of constant digging through the trash, she is covered in grease, dirt and mold. It is obvious that she now lost her mind completely and doesn't understand what's going on around her. Ruin goes to great lengths to show us how miserable Chica's existence is now. She is broken in body and mind, she often runs out of power, she was dropped into the recharge station, and we see how it painfully zaps her back to life. She tries to quench her hunger, but she can't due to the hole in her stomach. Then she digs through the trash and sometimes looks behind her, like she did moments before Gregory pushed her into the trash compactor. Which means that this traumatic memory and her insatiable hunger is all that is left to her. A little bit of salt in the wound is dropped by Cassie when she first encounters her.
Chica? What happened to you?
She is genuinely shocked and even saddened to see Chica in such a broken state, showing us that there was a time when Chica was a normal and kind animatronic, and not this empty shell. Of course Chica doesn't recognize Cassie, and we are gonna have a few chases. While going through the bakery, Cassie finds an arcade of Chica's feeding frenzy. Now this is a very strange arcade. In Security Breach one of the messages says that this arcade seems to work while being unplugged. If you win in this arcade, Cassie receives Chica's voice box. Why is this voice box here? Is it her old voice box? Is this voice box the reason why this arcade works? So many questions and no answers. But this voice box is very important. Chica follows Cassie into the Glamrock beauty salon, enters the bathroom and falls onto the wall with Freddy's poster. Cassie tries to repair Chica by installing this voice box, even after being hunted by her mere minutes ago. Yet again we are shown that Cassie must have a very good memories about Chica, otherwise she probably wouldn't risk everything to help her.
Am I really doing this? Ew. Gross. That should do it.
I smell pizza.
This doesn't seem to work. Chica falls again and her final line is "I smell pizza." She felt this hunger for so long, and at least now she was able to say it. The fact that she has fallen inside a bathroom is just another point into the topic that her addiction to food is an allusion to drug addiction or eating disorder. Knowing Steelwool and Scott, it's not gonna be a surprise if this was the idea all along. This is where we leave in Glamrock Chica in ruin, but after that we had Help Wanted too, which showed us Chica somewhere right before Security Breach and right after it. So this Chica is already under glitch trap. But it's just a usual day, so Jeremy cooks food for customers. Chica is shown being sweet and adorable at first, but when Jeremy takes too long, she becomes irritated and pushy, which has led to a belief that she can be quite manipulative to get what she wants, and quite scandalous if she won't get it. Then we see how in her hunger she knocks out staff bots to eat the orders that were supposed to go to customers. So she is already out of control, and it seems that nobody cares. Later, when Jeremy is in the ruin at Pizzaplex, he works on food for Shattered Chica, and she is completely harmless. She just tries to steal the food that Jeremy works with, then she eats the orders he made and passes out on the floor. It won't be an exaggeration to say that Chica has suffered more than other Glamrocks combined, and as we can see, she was the one who deserved it the least. She was stuck in a state of endless, mindless hunger, which I think is a fate worse than death. So is there a chance that we were able to help her, or is this bathroom her final resting place? To evaluate her chances, let's look back a little bit. When Ruin was announced, we could see that Chica is the only animatronic on the announcement art, and Cassie had a different design. Seeing later that Cassie is bonded with Roxy, and that the voice box repair is an Easter egg that is hard to get, led to a theory that it's a remnant of some cut content where Chica was supposed to be our guardian. However, after the interview with G-Top, we know that it's not the case and it was always planned to be like this.
Interesting.
You know,
so there wasn't supposed to be like a different ending that got cut. It's just that's kind of how she is.
It was the payoff. I mean, it was really like the payoff for the player.
Yeah.
Is to be like, we see Chica like first. She's one of the first ones that we see wandering around.
Right.
And although Cassie's like initially horrified, she takes a moment and she says, "Oh, what happened to you?" And she feels bad for her.
She's sympathetic.
Yeah. They're all to be pitied. They've just been wandering around in this place for how long?
You're right.
So hopefully people that did it then felt like getting that payoff of Chica speaking again.
It did feel good.
Yeah. After Gregory stripped it out.
Exactly.
Exactly. We found another one and we put it in.
Interesting.
We fixed her.
Interesting. Was like that one of the last things that you added to Ruin, or was that always like you always wanted that?
That was there.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was there from pretty early.
What I'm leading to is that if this attempt to repair Chica would have been a remnant of cut content, chances to see her again would have been extremely low. But since this is how it was planned to be, then maybe this plan was exceeding beyond just giving her the voice box. But this is my wishful thinking. At the time of recording, the only known upcoming content that might have something about Chica is the Escape from the Pizzaplex interactive novel. It is also known that Steelwool are working on some game aside from the Secret of the Mimic. I'm sure that we will see more Chica eventually, but the question is it gonna be this Chica specifically, or just another Chica from another Pizzaplex? It's unlikely that Cassie's attempt to fix her would have fully recovered her mind or cure her eating disorder, but maybe it could have been enough to give Chica a chance to survive. Unfortunately for now, this is all that we know about Chica. Thank you for watching. Press like and subscribe if you liked this video, watch another one if you want to. Good luck and I'll see you again soon.